Good afternoon. So I will start by say thank you for Jenma and Fabiana and all the team for this amazing experience and conference. So I'm Saar. I know it's a difficult name. I've come today a long, long way from the startup nation, Israel, to Guatemala, the place where it all started, the Mayan culture. By the way, Mayan in Hebrew means spring. Now, I know there probably aren't many people who use the word design in their signature here. But I believe that each one of you is a designer. And this is what we are going to talk today. The word design is often defined as a noun. We think of a designer chair, a fancy kitchen, a dress, a logo. But it would be better if we understood the word design as a verb. Because design isn't just the end result. It's an action. While I prepared for this presentation, I looked up the dictionary about the definition of design. This is what I got. Design as a verb means to have a purpose, intent. So you see, verbs are challenging because they mean to do, to create, execute, or construct according to plan. Okay, we have to intend, to execute. I want to highlight these two words because this definition is surprisingly accurate. So we might also not think intention as a verb, but it also is. And this is the first action. It's taking aim and execution. To execute, also a verb, brings your intention to the real world. And that's design. Let's use my life as an example, because we don't just design logos, we design our life. So this is me. I was born in Jerusalem, and my dream as a child was to be a professional football player. But thanks to my mom, I also had a weekly drawing in the Israel National Museum. So I was the only football player on the team that learned to draw. Soon enough, I realized I will not be a professional football player. So when a few friends from my school who had a nightclub in Jerusalem asked me if I want to organize a party, I said, why not? This is me, again. I know that I look like a clubber, but I was the only person who worked in the club 7 years, who didn't take a drug, not even a cigarette, maybe a little bit of alcohol. So this is actual picture from the club. I didn't take them from, not from AI and not from Shutterstock. Now, a moment of history. The year is 1997. How do you invite people to a party with no Facebook, no WhatsApp, no Instagram, no TikTok, no Twitter, no X, no Thread? That's a flyer, not a cell phone. When I started to invite people, the flyers look like this. You remember my drawing lessons? So now I was actually in design school, studying graphic design. So by the second year, the flyers look like this. So while I was a student, I was designing invitations with DJs from all around the world. And I didn't just hand out the flyer. This was important. I got to see face to face the people, how they reacted to my designs. But at the end of the third year, I was tired from the parties, and I told one of the founders of the club, Eyal, I'm leaving. He said he also wants to quit. He was already 26, and said, let's open a company together. I said, why not? Sounds good. So in my fourth year of graphic design, Eyal and I opened a company together, a branding company. So now I was the only student in the school who had his own company. We called it Open. Why open? Because to be open, it's a way of living. It's a choice. It is staying open to opportunities, to community, to people. It is to say, why not? This is our office in Tel Aviv, and this is how we started with these computers. And today we are 50 people. We are having fun. We laugh and we work with brands from all over the world. I will give you 2 minutes about everything we are doing, and then we will start. Thank you. I want to start to share with you a case study from a few years ago. From my point of view, nothing was the same after this. Brand Israel. I know it's heavy. I know. I had the honor to receive an invitation to participate in a closed tender or a bid, I think 6 years ago. Let me begin by saying we won the tender. Unfortunately, there were many problems regarding how this project was implemented. If any of you, even here, had the privilege of working with government, you probably know what I mean. But nevertheless, it's a great example of a process where I first deeply understood a new approach to design was needed. I became an entrepreneur with this project. Let's see. The brief of the project was arrived after 7 years of strategic process, also known as bureaucracy. created by Akanchi, a company from England. They discovered something really interesting about us. Because they had the fresh eyes observing us from outside, they were able to narrow what they understood about Israel and about Israeliness into a brand narrative of two words: creative energy. Two words that skip over all the problems regarding perception about Israel and focus on one of the strongest characteristic, creative energy. And remember, branding is about highlight your essential strength. This phrase, this concept, was also defined in an excellent book, Startup Nation, which I really recommend. After reading it myself, the first thing I did is to buy a copy for all of our employees. It was 30, not 50. Because this book showed me the deep roots underlying my own creative energy, the country I was born into, a country that with all the problems and limitations and lack of this and lack of that, managed to become a global leader in technological innovation. Without going into too many details, I will share with you the understanding we came after just 1 week of sketches. The last thing a cool person would say about himself: I am cool. Same things with brands. So we understood that Brand Israel should not talk about creative energy. Brand Israel should be creative energy. We came to realize that if we want to be creative energy, we have to be creative, innovative. We can't work with the tools we work with every day. We have to invent new tools. So we created a challenge for ourselves: design a logo with no pre-existing fonts. It's difficult. Okay, so this forced us to do a lot of experimenting with our brains. In the end, we chose 48 square grids, a symbolic number. Israel was established in 1948. And we took just 3 shapes: a square, a triangle, and a circle. Now let's start to play. We started to play with the shapes. So every letter took us to unknown territory. I don't think we could have thought of letters like that if we were thinking with our regular tools. We did more than 700 letters. We had I, S, R, endless of. So we had endless options with the letter in Israel. The question was, what to do with this? So we decided to create the first ever user-generated brand identity. It's an idea for a machine where every person can be an active participant in building a new dynamic brand identity for Israel. Every person design his own logo with letters he loves and letters and the colors he or she or they like. These are some of the logos that were created by the people using the machine. Of course, there is much more for an identity. But I think that if you understand how Israeli people think, it will encapsulate their Israeliness. Every Israeli thinks he can do what you did, but a little bit better and different. So with this in mind, different and better, I developed a whole new methodology and called it Improv Design. These are two words that usually contradict one another, but I understood that if we work with them together, we will arrive to the unconventional. So let's start with the word design. We know design is defined by intention and execution, but it's also a verb. And verbs are challenging because verbs mean to do. Each one of you knows that any company starts with an intention and come to life only with execution. Now let's look at the process that happened between intention and execution. This is the design process. Let's go over it quickly. We start with intention, of course. Without this, we can't begin. Next is research. We need to understand what already exists in the field, whatever it's a startup company or our morning routine. I will back to that later. Next is the phase of ideation. We toss around ideas to bring new energy. Now we sketch the first draft. Here, we start to take it to the next level and start to design. We get feedback from a few people and from ourselves. And next, the phase of prototyping. The phase of prototyping means testing with more people. Finally, finalization and implementation, also called execution. But this design process is not just for designers. Remember the title of this presentation. Everyone is a designer. This process is for every kind of company and for every person, because we also design our lives. Let's look at our morning, my morning routine. After getting the kids to the school, 4 of them, I understood I needed 10 minutes of quiet and focus to begin my day with my coffee. Doing a bit of research, I tried to drink coffee at home. I tried to drink it in a car, on the go. In the end, I decided I will drink a cortado every morning by myself in a coffee shop with a biscuit. I've been doing it, I don't know how many years. Even here, I found one. The name is Coffea. The waiters in my neighborhood know my name. They call me cortado with a biscuit. They don't know my name. This is a great execution of a deep intention. This is my closet. Well, this was my closet. These were my best intention at design when we moved to a new home. It lasted about 10 minutes. I will not show you the execution of this intention today. So the coffee and the closet are both examples of me designing my life. The point is that it's a very dynamic process that we are doing and redoing all the time. Design is everything and everywhere. It's clothes, it's coffee, logos, of course, conference. I love design. My company is based on design. I use and still use the regular design process in most of my professional life, and it works. But what about the word improv? Scary word, as we spoke. The unknown. This is the place where we ask to leave our comfort zone. Improvisation is an old tool. It's been around us for ages, mostly used by artists. This is a drawing by the famous artist Vasily Kandinsky, one of the fathers of the abstract art. Here is an abstract painting where you use composition. And here is a painting done through improvisation, a method he also explored 100 years ago, alongside his abstract work. Kandinsky says, improvisation is an expression of our inner processes that appear suddenly, mostly unconsciously. It is the effect of the inner nature. At an unknown hour from a source that is still sealed to us, the work comes into the world. In other words, improvisation opens gates we don't even know they are there, to let the unknown creative force flood in. Miles Davis improvised. Jackson Pollock improvised. So improvisation has been around us for a long time. But I ask myself, why do only artists use it? It's true, improv is an exploration of the unknown, but it's also a creative mechanism based on structure. And we saw design is structure. So here's the design process again. Now we introduced a free line into the diagram. Now the standard rules don't apply anymore. It's a different game altogether. The unconscious mind takes charge. How? Let me share with you a few examples. The first example is our project with Mekudeshet. Every year in the summer, there are 3 weeks of festival around Jerusalem, with loads of musical and artistic events. The name of the festival is Mekudeshet, the Hebrew word for holy and sacred. The festival created a series of events throughout whose role was to awaken in every person an awareness of his own personal borders inside his own mind and perhaps expand them. They called it dissolving borders. How do we design dissolving borders? So I started with myself using Improv Design. This is me again. I put my yellow shorts. I knew the solution had to come from movement. So I thought I have to move. I need to move from my own comfort zone, move my own borders. So get ready. Please feel free to laugh. I did. I asked a friend of mine, one of Israel's premier dancers, to help me. As you can see, this is way out of my comfort zone. So the next day back to my office, I knew that I must get my designers to leave their comfort zone. So the first thing we did is to leave the computers, of course. To leave the computers for a second and put some silly post-it notes on the head. Why? Because I wanted to visualize movement. And this is what we got. We understood immediately that we have something in our hands. It was a surprise. We didn't have control of the path. And that was exciting. Back to the festival. The festival chose 10 people from neighborhoods in Jerusalem who have dissolved borders in their own life in their communities. For example, religious people who work with secular people. A Muslim manager of the Islamic museum inviting everyday Jewish people into his museum. So we designed and assigned 10 abstract brushes stroke to each participant. It was exactly like put post-it notes on their heads. And here is one day of each of these dissolvers walking in real life with GPS in their city. So now we have endless frame of graphic language to choose from to communicate our messages. The project received a lot of recognition and prizes all over the world. It was cited as one of the 20 best projects in the world by the well-known American magazine Communication Art. Now let's move to a different example and different way to use improv design. Thanks is a non-profit organization that works with mentally disabled people. Thanks maintains 56 chocolate and gift stands throughout Israel. And they do something really interesting and really unique in the world. Instead of working with their staff with special needs just behind the scene like everyone, here the vision is the whole process. The team manufactures, packages, and then they personally sell it. This gives this community the chance to integrate into the real world, and it also gives us the chance to meet and interact with them. So we started the creative process, as usual, with sketches. But then we soon understood something new. If the idea was that the whole process of this product is handcrafted from start to finish by the disabled, then the brand identity too should be handcrafted by them, of course. So we decided to do, and we are back to the word do, to do a creative workshop with them. We called our client to tell him. He was really happy with the idea, but he asked if we knew how to do it. I said, yeah, sure. Of course, I didn't have a clue. We decided to do a few exercises playing with paints and brushes, because brushes give more freedom to express emotion in an abstract way. This is what we got. This is a collection of drawing. Wonderful, but I don't know what to do with this. So we try to find the energy of each drawing and translate it to a graphic language. Each drawing has its own energy. So this is the whole brand identity. I think, no, I'm sure that we couldn't found this solution without the methodology of improv design. So we will move to the one last example. After 50 years, at the age of 84, Zubin Mehta, one of the most famous conductors in the world, decided to retire from the Israeli Philharmonic. 50 years. Lav Shani, at the age of 22, took the baton. So with this remarkable age gap between two remarkable conductors, we were invited to rebrand the Israel Philharmonic. In this process, we discovered that the combination of the iconic Philharmonic and the new young director, Lahav, was creating a new synergy, a kind of energy that will find new ways to tell old stories. New ways, it's me. So this is the exact moment I felt we need to use the improv design methodology to enter into the unknown. We went one day to the rehearsals of the Philharmonic and created for ourselves a few exercises in design to reflect the music we heard live. The goal was to express the music with different tools. This is what we got. In pencil, sometimes in shapes, in black and white, with a lot of things. We got this. After looking at a few days, and it took us a few days, we saw there is a strong connection between the design and the music. So we looked for the link between shapes, sound, color, and music, the music we heard. Voila. As you know, we have cold and warm tones in color. It's the same with sound. We have resonating, warm notes and high and thin notes. So now, we did it with them. We have arrived at the first ever music brand color platform. And it looked like this. We are responsible about the color, they are responsible about the music. So how we can use it? We chose two colors from two different quarters to contrast quarters, exactly the way classical music uses contrast. And we created a grid, and we perched letters on it, like musical notes, letters that spell words, words that have a hierarchy, of course. Written here, Leonidas Kavakos, the great violinist and conductor. So this is the whole brand identity. And by the way, last year, the Philharmonic enjoyed its most prosperous year ever, 86 years. So this helped them to change a little bit the energy. Okay, this was a lot of information in a short time. I think what is important for me is that you will remember that everyone is a designer. You too, everyone. Everyone is, you all have the power and the ability to design for yourself and to the world. To unlock the unknown creativity that lies within your own self. So you, before lunch, you have here in the exit the stickers, and you can choose what or who you want to be. So you can choose what you want. And remember, design your life. And improvise. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Saar.